Okay, that's all.
What is your full name?
My name is Lily Frances Lamberta. I would describe my creativity, my artwork, and what I do as a means to work with other people and to use everything that I can find and not have to pay for to create theater and rustic kind of distressed art.
Mainly involving puppets, correct?
Yeah, I would call a lot of, well, everything I do, except for these new pieces I have up, they're all puppets, masks, costumes, which I call puppets, two-person animal puppets.
So how long have you been involved in theater and performance, and where did that begin? I guess to kind of go back to the roots.
Yeah, I've always been a performer. The performance has always been part of my life. I started doing ballet when I was 4 or 5, and I was good, and I did it for 14 years, and I hung with the big boys, and it was, Richmond City dance troupe. So, but I'd say seriously in 9th grade, it was like clear that that's what I was going to do. The puppetry, I swear, just when I met Bryn Puppet, it all clicked, and I've always made stuff, and I've always, like, idle hands and me do not get along. Like, I like to create, and I as most artists, if that's not there, then there's, a fall off the bandwagon. So it's clearly that I had that in me, but I never took an art class. And after just being on tour with Bread and Puppet and living like in Glover, Vermont for 2 years, 3 winters, you get to getting crafty, So I just found my niche with paper mache and puppets through Bread and Puppet. I've been a puppeteer since 2001, so going on 8 years,
And
7 years, whatever that is.
so you went to Vermont and
I
got
was-
involved with
Yeah,
Bread and Puppet.
yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, I mean, that's where I learned it all, and always inspired. Even now when I don't work with them year round, I still going on tour in a couple weeks, and I met them. I was so blessed to meet them right after September 11th, when I was feeling like, what is theater really and how is it useful? And I was lucky enough, they came to my school, Longwood, and they showed me how to use theater against war and how to make huge demonstrations that are fun to look at and circusy and full of brass music, but saying like these really heavy undertones, like demanding a better future. So I interned with them in 2002, and they couldn't get rid of me, and I stayed on as a volunteer for years, and then they asked me to join the company. And there I learned how to use like river clay and cardboard, how to soak it, and how to use paper mache to its full advantage for its most longevity, or whatever the word is, and making it really strong. Upon leaving Bread and Puppet is when I discovered the method that I use now here in Richmond, which is using cardboard strips, which is actually something I just kind of, I don't know, just not having, through limitations, I kind of figured out, not having that much river clay or anything. I came home and had about a month and a half. I was really nervous about leaving Bread and Puppet Theater because it's the only time in my life where I felt I could utilize my performance skills, but also not just be like doing horrible contemporary theater, but being part of this larger movement and interesting theater to look at, So I was really scared shitless, and then I decided before even making it home that I was going to begin a Halloween parade. I had worked with the Greenwich Village Halloween Parade right when I graduated school in 2003. Our Richmond's Halloween Parade is much like what it was when it began. So, and I'd like to keep it that that way. You know, we are Richmond, so through fault we can probably keep it smaller. But it's a good size. It's about 300 participants. I would say more, especially the growing audience, the public, the street public. This year's Halloween parade was the funeral march for the founding fathers. So last year it was the funeral march for progress. My art, I'd like to say all of it, all my shows and parades convey this like between world feeling, you know, and just like the prettier a skeleton is, the more beautiful. Like what a way to remind ourselves like who we really are, and that we're just dust, and so is the art we make, and it's not sacred, but we and our projects are sacred in the community. So
another thing that you brought to Richmond when you moved back was the spaghetti dinner.
Yes.
To Gallery 5.
Yeah.
Tell us about the spaghetti dinners.
Spaghetti dinners were actually, not many people know this, but spaghetti dinners were actually started in the early 80s by the 9th Street Theater, who are us people that have worked with Bread and Puppet. I mean, Bread and Puppet is so all-encompassing that it invites, and there's just so many people that have been involved and will continue to be involved. You're involved, you know, everybody that comes to the show or helps bring Bread and Puppet is involved in part of Bread and Puppet. But there used to be a core company that was like 25 to 30 years. They were traveling the world and representing Bread and Puppet. After, or even simultaneously, a couple of puppeteers, Amy Trumpeter began 9th Street Theater and started spaghetti dinners as a way to feed the homeless and also give them like amazing, you know, like group theater, Bread and Puppet, like really experimental puppetry and theater. So it was a hit, and now Great Small Works Theater carries that tradition strong monthly in New York City, who are also people that have worked with Bread and Puppet for a long time. And now we got it started here. It's like an easy format for getting artists to come together, to gather, which is really important for all communities, especially the artistic community. And we should all, no matter what our means is, we should all communicate to each other and share, you know, because that's how we grow. And especially with the public, feeding. I mean, the whole idea of eating and watching theater. I mean, that's ancient, like, you know, English pub stuff to Bread and Puppet has said that from day one, that you can't go unfed. Like what's Bertolt Brecht's like Three Penny Opera is all about, you know, like what makes a man want to survive. Like he can't be a good man unless he's eaten his dinner. Like how can he be cultured if he's starving, you know? So it's really important to me also to make that really accessible and to keep the price low and to get, I mean, it's a great way to get people around to come see my theater company. All the Saints, it's really good. They're starting to know who the puppets, people that are doing that puppet stuff, who they are. So it's really good to get them out. But also to get this like grassroots cabaret is it's pretty rad. And now they're doing it in DC.